Officials say a suspect is in custody after an attack on a nun in Jerusalem. We do want to warn you, this video may be disturbing.
What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. So a 30-something-year-old Jewish man attacks an elderly nun viciously, and he got caught. He got captured. The people around him stopped him, at some point. But I want to share this because there's a certain group of people that walk around and actually pretends like they are God's chosen people, that they are special people, that all other people should treat them special and give them preferential treatment. Currently, right now, as the whole planet's check-ins and savings is set up, right? They seem to be getting undue, unwarranted, unearned privileges, right? That allow them as individuals in their psyches to have such individual gall and disdain for anybody that don't practice the same Abrahamic religion, as them, to treat them with the utmost disrespect and disdain. It's one thing not to agree with someone's religion. It's another thing to assault them and hurt them for their beliefs. And it seems like the people that want the whole world to love them, the people that convinced the whole world, and by the whole world, I mean just mostly white people and, everybody else who worship white people in Christendom, right? Got them to love them, right? Want them to feel eternally bad about what happened in the Holocaust, as if the Holocaust was the worst thing that ever happened to humanity. As if these white Europeans were the only ones who were, attacked in the Holocaust. As if these white Europeans pretending to be Semitic, a Semitic group of people, which biologically, genetically, in every kind of measurable, dynamic, measurable point that you can measure, right? They don't qualify to be those people they decide that they was going to tell the world that they are. Right? These are, in fact, white Europeans, these group of people, right? But these white Europeans are a special kind of evil, right? Because I've noticed that a lot of white Europeans, there's different flavors of evil with these white Europeans, right? You got the Jewish white European, right, who's currently right now committing genocide. Right, there's a cultural consistency with these groups of people. Even if you are a part of these group of people, you gotta admit, you guys have a cultural consistency of doing things like this on a global scale, right? You got, so you got them who thinks they're the chosen people of the planet and God loves them more than anybody else. Everybody else's lives don't matter. To these people, first of all, it's funny how the people that back them up and subsidize their lives, right? The group of people that if it wasn't for us and our tax money, they wouldn't exist or live or be safe or have the advantages that they have. It's funny how they openly disrespect us Americans. They openly disrespect Christians. They openly disrespect American Christians. They spy on our country. They steal our intellectual technology. They disrespect our laws. They form corporations and control our politicians. They sanction us on the private sector and in the public sector if we dare criticize them or hold them accountable for anything they do. Right? And that's this special white group of people because they were able to monopolize the banking industry. These are the people who monopolize the banking industry. Right? That's why they call themselves Jews but not practicing religious Jews. How is that even possible? If you don't practice Judaism, you're not Jewish. Jewish is it Judaism? To be Jew? That's to be in a religion. These white Europeans have made up an entire race of fantastical, fictitious people that somehow dispersed and came back. Right? Even though they have no proof of it. It said it in this one book this one time, so it has to be true. And we're going to run and operate our planet and our worldview based off that fantasy that us intelligent people know that's not true. It's all made up because it's carbon copied from other people's religions. But you got those evil group of people, those Jews. Then you got your South African white Jews. They're like them and the Australians are the dirtiest, most criminal elements of these white European barbarian savages, right? They done stuck the Europeans over there in Australia where they can barely survive and almost died out, but they had to go kill off almost the entire indigenous population in order for them to survive. Keep in mind, every time these savage barbarians go somewhere, they tend to die off and die off in mass numbers until the indigenous population helps them out, right? And then what does these savage barbarian Neanderthals do? And in turn for being helped out, they commit genocide, which they did over there. That branch of white European in Australia, they call themselves Aussies, right? And then those South Africans who somehow came to white European South Africans with those South Africans said, you know what, there's no one here. Let's go ahead and commit genocide on nobody because nobody's here. And let's steal this land and call it our own because we're running away from our own European homeland because it ain't shit and they ain't shit. And we want to be our own people over here. Then white supremacy fought a war in South Africa. You got the British white supremacists, the OG, and then you got the Dutch, Well, I don't know, but they both OGs, just one retired early, And of course you got the American ones, right? America white Europeans ain't nothing but the British 2.0. These, the OG white ones that came over here, they got thrown out, that ran away from their own homeland, right? Ran away from their community, ran away from their culture, come over here to create a different culture, which is, by the way, just stealing everybody else's culture. Because if you think about it, what is American white European culture? They go to Taco Tuesdays. They go to Indian restaurants. They go to African restaurants, right? They love eating Chinese, right? They like dancing to Latino salsa, right? They like going to the African American clubs and finding their rhythm, right? Like, what do? What do white people in America do, right? That could be considered a pure white European culture. Oh, I know one. Yeah. Pedophiling. Yeah, that's an American thing. That's a white European American thing because that's also culturally consistent with what's happening in Europe. Because if you look at where all the sex trafficking is going, you would see that it goes over there to those white Europeans in suits. As we are currently, because our president is involved in the administration and the cabinet and all the millionaires and billionaires that run all the corporations that we have forced to use their products and services, they all participate in this white European activity of manipulating little children until they become of puberty. The Greeks, their favorite, they learned it from them. The Spartans, the people that weren't even them, they learned it from them. That's where they learned it from. This is their culture. They love little children. They believe that little children are fair game until they hit puberty. And then they move on to another child because now they're no good no more. I'm not lying. I'm not making it up. It's true. So it's not, and we already see their violence, which is natural. You see how they justify killing people. Look at America. We can just bomb somebody and say, yeah, they're going to make nukes. Yeah, we're going to kill kids in school. That's cool. That's morally okay. They can have arguments about, about the philosophy around it. They'll argue about the semantics talking about it, right? You have pundits who will get on TV in front of millions of people and justify it and still go home and sleep at night after kissing their daughters that's still alive because they didn't get bombed by a white supremacist neo-Nazi administration practicing cultural consistency of genocide, death, and destruction because they can't get what they want because they are in complete greed mode because capitalism is the worship of money. But because they can have what they want from another group of people, killing them is justified. Look how they just casually talk about it. Yet everybody else is a criminal when they're desperate and they're in survival mode and they need to get something to eat or they need to come up and they decide to take a measure that's out of the norms of what we consider morality. Or they get mad at people for judging them for their genocide or their murder and their death and destruction. And they get mad at the semantics used by those who mean to hold them accountable and say, hey, what happened to the civility? It's absolutely nuts. These people, they can't, I don't think, we're going to have to recategorize human beings. And what does it mean to actually be a human being? You know what I'm saying? Because the morals and the guidelines that these Europeans follow right? The thing that they consider love, their religions of peace, it seems to do nothing, especially their versions of it, that bring on death and destruction and aggravates death and destruction. Do you think the Arabs would hate America if America wasn't bombing, destroying, and stealing the little bit of resources they have in that freaking desert? Do you think they would be saying death to America if America wasn't bringing death to them constantly on a regular, casual basis? Huh? Do you see all this? And here's the thing. Come on. I know you guys notice it. These people calling themselves Jews are the most unathletic phenotypes on the planet. Let's just call it out, bro. Come on. These are the most unathletic. Like, you can tell their bodies don't even look like that they're meant to move. These guys do not exercise. Like these ones I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Have you ever paid attention to these particular Jewish extremists? They're the most, they have no coordination with nature. They look like they can barely function, yet they have a gall to be aggressive. But they're shaped like marshmallows. They're like dangerous European racist marshmallows who, if you just push, they'll just fall over. Like, I'm almost convinced I can whoop every one of their ass, except for the one or two that got some training, and they still, I may get a couple hits. They may get a couple hits, and I'm gonna still whoop their ass. Right? I'm confident. I'm gonna use my Black Force power for that shit if they get one on over me. But they the most unathletic, the most least mobile group of people on the planet, the least healthiest looking, perceivably looking people on the planet. Somehow they're in control. It's that greed. These are the Celestials. If you know anything about anime, One Piece, look how the Celestials are. These are the Celestials, and we're just allowing them to do whatever they want. But I don't think it's that we allow them. It's that we were unaware, because in the age of information, everybody didn't know this. This wasn't common knowledge. But now the evilness of these group of people that practice a demonic religion, because their God has to be evil. This, whatever God they worshiping, is not a good God. Not someone anybody would want to use even as an allegory to try to be next to or close to. Their God is evil. All right? Their God is even more eviler than the Christian God, the white Christian gods, because I don't know who the hell they worshiping either. Right? Evil. And them Australians, I don't even think they're religious. And them South Africans, I don't think they're religious either. I think they're just more like, we're going to drop the God and just be the orc demon barbarians we are, secular or whatever. That's just, but yeah, a Jewish, 30-something-year-old man decided it's a good idea to go beat up an old woman nun. You got woman, you got old, you got nun. I mean, everything. Was she wearing glasses? Was she disabled? Shit. That's the only thing we're getting attached to it to make it even worse. All right? And I guarantee this happens all the time. Shit. That black coon went to Israel and got spat on. Like this, their children are terrible. Think about it. Their children are terrible, and we, our tax money, are paying for these people. Hey, white people in America. All right? Your brand of racism is paying for this brand of racism. Imagine that. You don't even get to do it, right? While you struggling, those subsidized welfare queens over there in Israel get to spit on your people while you sit there and act like you need them to survive. You need their state to survive. You need that organized chaos, that failed state, terrorist state of Israel to survive, so it can continue to spit on your people as you subsidize them. And they terrorize and murder other people who are not of their religion. Where is your backbone? Where's the respect for oneself? Where's the respect for your so-called religion that you so-called believe? Where's your humanity? Do you have it? Because I'm starting to believe, as advanced as we are as human beings, there are a lot of people who are just not. They're just not. They haven't reached that level. We got a lot of monkeys running around in suits. We got a lot of monkeys, right? We got a lot of monks, chimps, and baboons in white skin walking around. We got a lot of primitive primates walking around in modern day society because a few of them was able to build something. or us human beings were able to manifest it for all you chimpanzee monkeys and bonobos out here with your white skins running around terrorizing the planet because you guys don't know how to live. You don't know how to live and let live. You guys don't know how to be humans. You guys don't know how to get along with other humans. You guys can't take care of yourselves, can't clean yourselves, can't create community for yourselves, can't value yourselves. You got to take from somebody else like a parasite. And y'all know what nature likes to do with parasites. And nature seems to be doing it with this particular parasite. And we ain't got to do nothing but stay out of the way and let nature do what nature does. Well, anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
It shows a man run toward the nun and push her from behind. He starts to walk away, but then turns around, walks back, and kicks her while she's on the ground. Now, the nun is a researcher for a French school in Jerusalem. Now, France is condemning the attack, and investigators say they suspect it was racially motivated. Foreign correspondent Tom Sufi Burridge is in Tel Aviv, Israel, with more on that. Tom, what's the latest on this investigation?
Yeah, Diane, this happened on Tuesday. That man is in custody, being questioned by police. It happened in Jerusalem. I mean, again, look at the video. It is being widely condemned here in Israel. You can see that nun walking away with her back turned away from the man then approaching, pushing her violently to the ground, then walking briefly away, then returning and kicking her when she's down. Now, someone then did intervene, a bystander, and the attack stopped. But the man was arrested. He's been questioned by police, and police are saying that he's been arrested on suspicion of a racially motivated attack. The man is 36. He appears in the video to be wearing a garment which is often worn by observant Jewish men. And I think, the Israeli Foreign Ministry has come out very strongly condemning this attack, saying it is a despicable attack, saying it's shameful. It does not represent the values of Israel in any way. But I think the Israeli government is acutely aware that it comes not a long time after another video went viral online. That was in southern Lebanon, but it did show an Israeli soldier defacing, destroying a Christian monument, a crucifix with an image of Christ on it. The Israeli government very strongly condemned that attack. But I think, this incident coming after that and, that previous incident also causing outrage in parts of the world and going viral online. Diane?
All right, Tom Sufi Burridge, thank you.
Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! Free Sudan! Boycott diamonds and gold! We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.